The next evolution in mini drones is here, and it comes in the form of a 1-inch camera sensor on a tiny mini drone. What's going on, guys? My name is Dan Davis and I'm the creative director here on DansTube.TV, which is Australia's #1 drone YouTube channel. Today I've got my full review on the newly released DJI Mini 5 Pro, and this little powerhouse here is extremely impressive. I'm blown away that they have somehow got a 1-inch camera sensor on a drone that can weigh under 250 grams. Depending on what batteries you get will depend on both the flight time and also the weight of the drone. So with the plus batteries that I've got here, I get 52 minutes of flight time, but the drone goes over 250 grams. And the other batteries, the standard ones, give you 36 minutes of flight time and will keep the drone under the 250 gram mark. Mini drones have been extremely valuable for a lot of people for that specific reason. The fact that you can get this drone under 250 grams, it just makes it a lot easier to fly in certain countries that have quite strict rules and regulations. So for a lot of people out there, you probably will go with the standard combo, but the fact that you have the choice is great. You could probably get, a few standard batteries to keep the drone under 250 grams. And then depending on where you're located and where you're flying, you can then pull out the big guns. You can pull out the 52-minute flight time battery, that plus battery, for other contexts. So I love the fact that you got a few options here. And this is something we saw with the previous mini drones, but it's come across here to the Mini 5 Pro. Now, in terms of the build quality and everything you can expect from this drone, it does look quite similar to the Mini 4 Pro. Now, the Mini 4 Pro for a lot of people wasn't that exciting. A lot of people had the Mini 3 Pro and they didn't upgrade because they just didn't feel like it was a significant upgrade. Now, the Mini 5 Pro is the complete opposite here. We have got a huge upgrade to the camera system. I'll talk about the rotating camera and how you've got 225 degrees of rotation, so you can fully rotate the camera around. You've got a 1-inch sensor here, which is phenomenal for low light, amazing for capturing really high detail photo and video. And we've also got a new sensing system. So it does have LiDAR sensors on the front here, and it's also got the Nightscape omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. So that means that we're getting improved obstacle avoidance, we're getting an improved camera system, we're getting a gimbal that can rotate up to 225 degrees and create some very, very unique perspectives here. And it's just a really awesome drone to fly. Like if you've flown mini drones, you know what you're getting with this system. It feels very similar to the Mini 4 Pro and the Mini 3 Pro, but we've got some advancements here which are really nice to see. There is a button right here that at the time of me doing this video does not work, but this button will work very similar to what we saw with the Flip and the Neo. So what that means is you can use this drone without a controller, without your phone. You can just tap that button and it will go between the different modes. And then there's a little light right in the middle there that will actually tell you what mode it's in. So that's something I can't wait to see. There will be a whole standalone video on the channel to showcase that, but really cool to see that this is coming across to the Mini 5 Pro, because this actually turns this into a solo content creator's dream. The fact that I don't need a phone or a controller, I can just hold it, press that button and start it tracking me with all of its sensors and a 1-inch camera is premium. I can't wait to test that out. Now, another thing that's come across to this drone, which is something I've noticed as a bit of a trend now, is as you unfold the drone, it will automatically power on the drone. It does the same thing when you put a new battery in. And to me, this is great. It just means it's a lot quicker and easier to get the drone up in the sky. The other difference I've noticed to the body is just the way that the arms at the back kind of angle up just a little bit more. They've got a little bit more of a kickback, but besides that, it looks very similar. We do have these little feet here, these little legs that do prop up the gimbal just a little bit more, so that it doesn't knock into the ground or anything like that. But the big change to the design here is the LiDAR sensors on the front and that huge 1-inch sensor with a brand new gimbal system. Like the gimbal has been redesigned here, and I'll get into how that is such a huge benefit to you and why that's an advancement. But they're the main things you'll notice. The other thing is on the underside of the drone, it actually tells us that the noise level is 81 decibels. So I will say it is a quieter drone than maybe some other drones that you might have tested in the past. 81 decibels isn't too loud, which is really nice to see. I have noticed though, it is kind of like getting into magpie season, but a few birds have chased this drone down, which is a little bit concerning. It's a really fast drone, so you can get away from them. And I would always recommend like increasing altitude to get away from any sort of bird that's going for you. But that was something I noticed. I noticed that maybe the sound of it seems to be attracting or maybe antagonizing the birds in the area. But 81 decibels is what they're saying is the actual sound level from the drone, the noise level from the drone. Let's get into some of the biggest features here. I've touched on most of them very quickly, but I want to go into a deep dive here of what this actually means for consumers. So that 1-inch sensor is a huge leap forward. It's the first time we've seen a 1-inch sensor on DJI's Mini series. And I will say the 1-inch sensor is great. As you would expect, that means it allows more light in, so you're getting a better image in any sort of lighting condition that you're in. So low light situations have no issues when you've got this drone, because it's a larger sensor that's allowing more light in regardless of what's happening. So I found that on some days it was overcast, no issues, the footage still looked great. When the sun was coming down, again, I had some sunset footage, looks great because of that larger 1-inch sensor. So they're saying that you can capture 50 megapixel stills with the 1-inch sensor. It also supports 4K 60 frames per second in HDR, and we get 4K 120 frames per second in slow motion, which is really nice as well. The auto mode offers a dynamic range of up to 14 stops. So dynamic range of up to 14 stops is also a really nice improvement here. And then the other thing that I love to use here is the 48mm medium tele mode. So we've seen this on the Air 3S, we've seen this on the Mavic 4 Pro, but those 48mm systems are actual cameras. But what they've done here is they've created a mode. So it's the 2x zoom mode, and you press that 2x button, and it actually slowly zooms in. It doesn't jump cut to the 2x and then jump back to 1x. You can press it, and I've tested it even in active track. You can press it and it'll do a really nice slow zoom in. And because it's not jumping from camera to camera, it's basically just cropping, it looks really smooth. And the quality is great. Like typically when you're cropping and zooming, any sort of digital zoom, you lose quality, right? But I found myself using this mode a lot more than I thought. We saw a big improvement with the Osmo Pocket 3. They actually brought out a very similar medium tele mode, and I use that a lot of the time. I find the quality is amazing, and it is able to like keep that clarity, keep the high quality dynamic range, and everything just looks great. So the fact that they've done this with the Mini 5 Pro is nice. At first I thought maybe it would be a gimmick and it's just digital zoom, but it actually is a lot cleaner than I thought it would be. So I've been using that more than I thought. If you guys are interested in any drone, camera, or accessory, then definitely make sure to check out the links down in the description below. If you're based in Australia, I've actually helped Australians save over $70,000 on their drone, camera, and accessory purchases. You can just reach out to the D1 store directly. That's sales@d1store.com.au. Mention DansTube and they'll help you out with the best deal they can. You can also use the code DansTube on their website to save on most drones, cameras, and accessories. And if you're in store for whatever reason, maybe you go to one of the local DJI stores, just mention DansTube and they will also be able to honor that code and help you out with the best deal they can. And for my international viewers, don't you worry. I've got some deals down below for you as well. To check those all out, they will all be down in the video description. While we're talking about the camera system, the other big change here is this redesigned gimbal. So what I'm noticing is that it's a lot more advanced and a lot more flexible in terms of the functionality of the rotation option. So we saw with the Mavic 4 Pro, we saw some really, really cool rotation options. And it was the first time that we saw the ability to rotate beyond 360 degrees to create super unique perspectives. So we'll have some of that footage up now so you can see what it looks like for the Mavic 4 Pro to rotate and also what the footage looks like. It's really impressive stuff and you can use all three cameras and it looks great. But one of the big limitations was where you can rotate and how you can rotate. So if the camera is sitting like this, no issues. But straight when you angle it down, there were huge limitations with how much you can rotate. And if you're looking directly down, it's just really limited. You can't rotate too much with the Mavic 4 Pro. With the Mini 5 Pro though, with this brand new redesigned gimbal system, you can rotate fully 225 degrees regardless of how the camera is positioned. You can have it looking up, you can have it looking directly down, and you can still get that full rotation purely because of this redesigned gimbal system here. I have done a standalone video on the channel showcasing this in more depth, so definitely go and check that one out. But this was something that actually really excited me because this does open up a whole new creative playground. The fact that I can look directly down and fully rotate 225 degrees without any issues really is a game changer. The fact that I can angle the camera up, I can angle it slightly down, I can fly in any direction, I can even, tilt the camera while I'm rotating to create a really unique, almost like an FPV perspective as you're banking over a horizon. Really, really impressive stuff. This, to me, was a lot more impressive than what we got with the Mavic 4 Pro. Now, the Mavic 4 Pro just trumps the Mini 5 Pro in camera spec than what you're actually getting there. But that rotation functionality, the fact that you got even more flexibility and freedom, is definitely going to open up more options for all of you creative people out there. And I think you're going to love it. Like for me, this was what I was obsessed with. I was obsessed with that 2 times the 48mm medium tele option, as well as utilizing that rotation feature. I just couldn't stop using those two together. It was just so much fun. And I found myself holding like the controller like this, moving 2 directions. So I was changing altitude, moving forward, and then I was also either tilting the camera down while rotating or tilting it up. There's just so much fun here, and it really does feel like a whole new experience when you're controlling it. We've seen LiDAR sensors now coming across to the Air 3S as well as the Mavic 4 Pro, and it's great to see this nightscape omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. It just means that if you're flying back from a sunset, the drone's going to have no issues regardless of the lighting conditions. So if it's an overcast day, if you're flying inside, maybe you've got a permit to fly inside and it's really dark, that LiDAR sensor on the front, or the LiDAR sensors, it's like 2 that are kind of pointing forward. It seems to be 1 here and 1 on this side. Whether it's just one system and it's split, I actually don't know exactly. But that is great for safety, really, peace of mind. And it's great when you're flying in those lower light conditions. So early in the morning, late at night, or late in the afternoon. Really, really good stuff. And it's just a peace of mind thing. This opens up some advanced return to home options. So with the augmented reality, where it actually shows you the path that the drone's going to fly on, now with that lower light sensing, it just avoids as it's flying back to you. So it's a lot more advanced and a lot safer now when it's returning back to you. And it's great to see in action, right? This is just another improvement to safety and peace of mind. I touched on the gimbal rotation. So like I mentioned, 225 degrees of gimbal rotation. You can also utilize the true vertical shooting, which we saw on previous mini drones. So it just literally rotates and goes into vertical mode. You can still get full control of rotation even when you're in the vertical mode. So you've got a lot of customization and a lot of flexibility, again, regardless of if you're shooting vertically or if you're shooting horizontally. They've also upgraded Active Track 360 this time. So we've got some new modes here. We've either got the tracking mode that's called standard, we've got cycling, and we've also got the skiing mode. So I don't know whether they'll add more to this. This will probably also come out with other drones. They'll probably update it maybe with the previous, like the Mavic 4 Pro and maybe the Air 3S. We will see. I have no idea. But it makes a lot of sense because this just means that the drone knows what's happening. It knows that it's either tracking someone on a bike or a scooter, or it's tracking someone skiing, or it's just a standard mode to track a boat, a car, or a person. So I couldn't see any major differences when I was testing it with my electric scooter. It definitely seemed to keep a little bit closer, and it kept me as the main focus point, but it would anyway, regardless of its standard or cycling. So I'd probably need to test this a little bit more thoroughly, but it's nice to have this as an option just because the behavior of the drone is going to be slightly different when it's tracking you, and it knows what it's trying to track. Instead of just keeping it general, you can then really hone in, and if you're into riding a bike, you put it in that mode and it knows that you're riding a bike. It's just a slightly different behavior when the drone's following you. We do have built-in storage on this drone, which has been a big thing from DJI recently. So you get 42 gigabytes of built-in storage. Like I mentioned, it's either a 36-minute or a 52-minute flight time, depending on what battery you get. And it is utilizing DJI OcuSync 4 Plus. So we've got 10-bit video transmission, but up to 20 kilometers of flight distance, flight range with the drone. I can see this being a big seller, and I know that a lot of people held out when the Mini 4 Pro came out. A lot of people were still sticking with their Mini 3 Pro, right? And people were sticking with the Air 2S for such a long time. People still comment about that today. People tell me they're still using the Mini 2, right? And so something like this that has that mini form factor that can be under 250 grams if you get the smaller battery, that just opens up so many options for people, because having a 1-inch sensor is just such a unique offering. Like, it gives you such clarity in your images when you're capturing 50 megapixel stills. The 4K 60 frames per second HDR is phenomenal. You get 4K 120 frames slow-mo. And then we've got all of those sensors that make a big difference. The LiDAR sensor on the front, that gimbal system with the rotating, like I've mentioned, is just a lot of fun to use. And then to have that medium tele mode that's different to a digital zoom, even though it's like cropping and it is digital zoom, they're clearly enhancing it. They're doing something there, because when I was using the Pocket 3 with that mode, the quality's still there. It doesn't seem like it's cropped. It doesn't seem like it's punching in and losing all that clarity. It's enhanced in some way that it actually is definitely usable. I still use that to this day for a lot of my stuff and it looks great. So those combination of features have made the world of difference for this upgrade here. And I know a lot of people are going to be obsessed with this. I know a lot of people are going to upgrade to the Mini 5 Pro based on the fact that it's got that 1-inch sensor alone. You know, a lot of people love the Mini form factor, and that 1-inch sensor just opens up a lot for people out there that want to keep it under 250 grams for traveling and for content creation, but still have high quality photo and video. So anyway, guys, that's the end of my review of the Mini 5 Pro, a phenomenal upgrade here that a lot of people are going to be obsessed with. I appreciate all of your support, and I will chat to you very soon. Peace.